That is quite the what is the word I'm looking for? We had a pretty big meal before the recording, which you
blame it
should
on the
not do
sinigang.
ever. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Mama!
Hi! Welcome, everybody, to the Best News Ever podcast. The show is called Best News Ever because gospel means the good news, because Jesus, at the time of first coming, had good news to bring. And so we thought maybe because we are living now in the time of revelation and promises are fulfilling at this time, we should call it Best News Ever.
Best
Like what
news
comes
naman.
after good news is best
Best.
news ever. We considered calling it gospel-est, but it doesn't quite have that ring, you know. So here we are. All right.
I'm Tina Ryan.
I'm Sam O. It's a Friday as we're recording this, which is not our usual recording day. And I was reminded that we didn't tell the people about the radio show that you do on a Friday.
Which I kind of said hello to everybody.
You did?
My Shincheonji family.
Oh.
No, but I did. I mentioned that we do a podcast now about
Yeah.
our faith journey,
Yeah.
about our SCJ life.
Mm-hmm.
And I said the word Shincheonji talaga.
Oh, good for
Without
you.
buckling. Kasi before, diba, sa narrow door, Shincheonji, diba?
Yeah.
Magagalit mga instructor sa akin. Yeah, so I said hello to you.
Oh, thanks.
And invited everybody to listen.
I wanted to tell the world that Tina, number one, is an amazing DJ when she's on. She has been in the industry for how many years now?
Too long.
But
Too
you
long.
started so young.
Yeah.
Like,
91. So.
Okay, so do the math. I am so amazed when I see you work the board because you usually do a solo show and you are having a blast when you're doing it. And I don't know how to do that. Like,
thank you.
yeah, I've never seen someone have that much fun. And I've tried doing a radio show by myself a few times and it is just my worst nightmare.
No, in all the fairness naman with you, iba kasi yung upbringing mo sa radio dahil talk ka na eh.
Yeah,
kami
that's
music
true.
kami.
Yeah.
So talagang with or without the talking, I still have fun regardless.
And yeah, it's just amazing to me.
The music just keeps you going.
Yeah, I know you're super into the music. You love playing all. By the way, if you're gonna call into her show and request a song, you better be sure it's like at least 100 years old. Okay? Or she will not play the song.
Oh my goodness. I think I turned one magic jock into like an oldies, but type of goodie.
Yeah.
I made DJ Tony listen to 7774.
Is that a radio station? What is that?
AM.
Oh.
Puro makaluma din dun.
Okay. So what is the oldest song that you play today?
Ay! Not so old. 1979.
Not so old.
1979. Manila Sound, from the Manila Sound era. Nagano ka,
Okay.
VST and Company ako.
Yeah. What song was this?
Rock, baby, rock. Kasi
Oh.
I'm congratulating, ay, nagsegue at TVJ, diba? The legit Dabarcats because they're moving to TV5, which is down the street from the station.
And you guys should tune into her show because you can wherever you are in the world. The station's called Magic 89.9. We can link it in the show description. Please check her out. She is a blast to watch.
Aww.
And you can even make a request online, right? Yes. On that note, let's get to our actual episode for the day.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us for the first time on this podcast, we recently just started creating conversations out of the Bible lessons that we have done with Shincheonji Church of Jesus. And these are free classes. You can sign up for them or they're just available as YouTube videos online. So you can do it if you're non-committal, if you have commitment issues, that's fine. But they inspire a lot of conversation because there's many things that we can actually relate to our real lives.
Oh, yeah.
And today we're going to talk about the Bible and what kind of book it is.
The book that changed my life.
No. Ew. Okay, so the faith life in Shincheonji is based entirely on the Bible. And so it's, of course, it just makes sense that we should first know what kind of book the Bible is, what the contents are, how are we to look at it, things like that. We have an email. We should start with an email.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
do this. Hi, Miss Tina and Miss Sam. I want to thank you for this podcast that really proclaims the best news ever. This is Gab. I am now in my 4th year as a member of Shincheonji. Listening to your discussions in this podcast reminds me of my journey. I was a typical college student then, enjoying life. I was an achiever in a prestigious school and a scholar. So building my self-esteem and confidence was not an issue.
Wow,
I was
sana
just,
all.
diba? Scholar, diba?
Oo.
I was a student leader. I had many friends and had everything I needed. In short, I already had everything that can fulfill my inner self as a youth. But
Wow, sana all youth.
got it going on there. But there was something in my heart that was lacking. I felt empty. There was a time that I thought maybe I can fill this emptiness by having a romantic relationship. But imagining being in one made me cringe. NBSB here.
No boyfriend since birth.
No. Wow. Okay. Kidding aside, I couldn't figure out what was missing, and I cried a lot to God every night, asking Him to fill what's missing. Then God answered. It was in 2018 when my eldest sister started to introduce me to this Bible school and invited me to their various seminars and activities, and continued inviting me to study. At first, I really just attended because of my sister. I wasn't ready to commit to studying because I was busy with school and I was fond of the Bible and religious activities. I made a lot of excuses. And also, it was enough for me that I had a personal relationship with God. Here we go again with the personal relationship. Prayed and attended Sunday Mass, but it all changed when my school year ended because I had no more reasons to attend the Bible study, so I attended. It was a roller coaster ride, actually. The first week of my preliminary study, my heart was very heavy. I was forced to join because of the authority of my eldest sister. But one lesson changed my heart 180 degrees. And until now, I remember the title, Can All Prayers Be Answered by God? This lesson really rebuked me and corrected my knowledge about God and His standard. I cried a lot in front of my instructor at the time. Being in a denomination where praying is very important, I thought that all prayers were being heard by God. But I was wrong. God's standard is too different from my standard. Amen. After this lesson, I committed my 100% heart to this study. I enjoyed it and I finally found what was missing. In the past, all my dreams were about graduating in college, then getting a master's degree, then a doctorate. Wow, hindi ganun yung ginusto ko nung araw. Maka-graduate lang ako, okay na. Work, be rich, have a family, and have a very good life. But it all changed since I understood God's will, and that's not what I dream of anymore. Fast forward, I am now a worker in the church, and I'm continuously amazed at how God changed my life and the life of many people through His Word. I understand God's will and plan, and that's what will keep me going. The difference between journeying through a life of faith that does not fully understand God and His will and fully understanding it according to His promises and its fulfillment is huge. And that emptiness I felt before has never returned since I received this understanding. I think a lot of people would relate to what I felt back then. The emptiness, the sadness, especially the youth. Don't look for that something missing in this world. Nothing will ever satisfy and fill that emptiness. Only God will through understanding His Word. We have spirits, as was discussed in a past episode, and that spirit is longing for our Father in spirit, our God, our Creator, because He left due to our sins. And as His children, we are longing for Him. At first, I didn't know about that either. When I heard that the word taught here in Shincheonji, I understood that it is my spirit seeking and longing for God. So again, thank you for this podcast and your discussions, Miss Tina and Miss Sam. It is a reminder of how my life of faith started here in Shincheonji, and it's a big help for those who are still seeking for that missing piece. Continue to spread the best news ever. Your Good Samaritans, Gab.
Thank you so much, Gab. That was such a lovely email. I really admire our church members who are young. And I have a feeling she's young because she calls us Miss Sam and Miss Tina.
Buti nga hindi tita.
No,
but speaking of young,
yeah.
I remember when we first, we were getting to know everybody. I was just in awe when I walked into the centers and they were all so young.
I know.
Like, made me question, ba ginawa ko sa buhay ko nung ganito ko age?
I know.
Diba?
Seriously, and just how amazing it is for these young people who should be out, I don't know, doing whatever they want and making dumb decisions. And, they hear this word, they understand it, and now some of them are workers.
And with Gab's
like
email, how her understanding changed, like, how her desires change after learning the
Mm.
word.
Yeah.
Aw.
Just recognizing even that there was that emptiness inside her and not just trying to fill it with whatever is in the world.
Kind of makes me wanna go back, diba? I told you, parang, ano kaya buhay ko 20 years ago kung nalaman ko na to?
Mm.
Diba? But
I'm
anyway.
not sure if I would have heeded the call, honestly.
Parang nung first coming, makikinig ba tayo nun kay Jesus?
Diba? Hi, God's timing is perfect,
Oh,
as
I
they
know,
say.
I know.
All right. So again, Gab, thank you so much for your email. And if you'd like to reach out and write to us as well, bestnewseverpodcast@gmail.com is our email address. And so with that, shall we get to our topic for today?
Newscaster. Okay,
Aw.
ito na po, nag-uulat.
We have a script and everything.
Yeah.
Look at you. So we're talking about the Bible today, and I wanted to ask you what your relationship was with the Bible prior to coming to this class. What did you think of it? Have you ever read it? How did you feel about it?
Pre-SCJ, I've mentioned a few times in our old show na, like, the side of the Bible, when I would go to hotels sometimes, like when you open the drawers, di ba may Bible doon?
And they all have one, right?
Oo, di ba? Parang, nagugulat ako, di ba? But I'm not worthy. But I don't really recall a time where I opened the Bible and read it.
Ever.
No, I mean, like yung talagang seryosohang basahan ba?
Yeah.
Yun. And I think the few times that I actually read it, parang didn't make any sense. And so that's probably why I stopped reading it. So what about you?
I thought that the Bible was excellent at putting me to sleep. So good.
I like that one.
No, okay. And it's not that I didn't have a desire to read it. Like, I really wanted to because I knew that it was an important book.
Oh my gosh. Can I just say, I think you're not the first one that said that. Kasi minsan may mga ibang friends ako na binabasa nila para daw makatulong.
Oh, see? Oh my God. Okay, some people do it on purpose then. But like, when I started coming to the faith, and I knew that the Bible was an important book in the faith, obviously. And there was a moment where I wanted to really read it and understand it, but I found it very challenging. And especially once I started hitting those books with like numbers and names and just like, it was like, the records of the people that were living at that time. Yung mga ganyan. And like, I couldn't help but think na, okay, I don't know what this has to do with me.
But did you ever think that it was just a book of stories?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I'm not the only one.
Oh, yeah. I thought
okay.
it was like a hodgepodge of different stories that I think were supposed to be important because obviously they were in the Bible. But I did not know what the common thread was that connected all the stories, which we learned in the Bible class. Yes, they are connected and they have something to do with me today as well. Wala akong concept na ganon. It was all...
Lalo na ako. But I do remember when we were first studying, I liked this lesson. This particular lesson was kind of like, wow, we're off to a good start.
Yeah. So this lesson was about the Bible and what kind of book the Bible is. It has a few main points that you can learn more in the class because I don't want us to sit here and go through all the points. I don't know if we can do it as well as the instructors do it. No, we cannot. So we highly recommend that you either watch the lesson video or sign up for the class. But we can kind of touch on those briefly today and focus on the one angle that I think is the most relatable perhaps, or it's very like related to relationships that we have in our lives as well, I think.
And this is the Bible being a book of covenant, which is like, what?
Did you know that?
No.
I didn't either.
Oh.
The first point of this lesson is that the Bible is a book of covenant because God, He relates to His chosen people. He always has a chosen people in the Bible. And His relationship with them is through a covenant, meaning there is a promise that He gives. And obviously, as with any promise, like in our relationships, right? We're both supposed to keep that promise.
And God being what did you call Him again earlier?
A promise-keeping God?
Yes. Tayo naman, were the
A promise-breaking people.
Oo. Diba?
Awang-awa talaga ako kay God whenever I think of just the history of the Bible where the people keep
Okay.
breaking
O
and
sige, sa
betraying.
first one, diba si
Oo,
Adam?
oo.
Si Adam na kinain yung apple na hindi naman pala apple. Fruit from
Isa pa
the
yan.
fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Okay, pause though. Did you even know that that relationship between God and Adam was a covenant?
No.
Exactly. But the Bible tells it so clearly that Adam also broke the covenant. Yeah.
So after Adam, meron pa si
Noah.
si Moses.
So like Abraham was also given a covenant, but then it was fulfilled at the time of Moses. There were a lot of problems during that time as well. I think it was King Solomon who eventually just led all the Israelites to worship another god or
Si
other
Haring
gods.
Solomon talaga,
Actually, it's plural. And so that's why the promises of a Messiah were given, which Jesus was the fulfillment of. So yung mga ganon, parang there's always a covenant that God gives to his
And
people.
then the people keep breaking it.
Yeah.
But yet, God is still finding ways to come back to us. Diba? Parang, how many times are we gonna break this promise to him?
And then just related to that, I think the Bible being a book about God and his chosen people, because a lot of people think that the Bible is a book of history, like world history, like that it covers everything from the beginning of creation to this day, and it doesn't. It's not that kind of book.
Kaya nga kala ko si Adam yung unang tao sa mundo, diba?
Yung mga ganyan.
The author and writer of the Bible is God.
Yes. As a spirit, but because he's spirit, he used certain people. They now became the instruments that actually did the physical recording of the book. And so we can trust that the words that we see in the Bible are the words of God. And again, the lessons elaborate on this. So if you'd like to learn more, please look at a video or sign up for a class. The next thing would be the contents of the Bible.
Yan ang nakalimutan ko na. Pero naipasa ko yan nung class. Tatandaan mo? Meron akong proof na umiiyak pa ako.
So, before the class, I had heard naman already na the Bible is like a library. The Bible is not just a book. It's a library of books, is the explanation I heard.
Kasi may 66 books, ganun.
Or if you're looking at a Catholic Bible, I think the number is like 73 or 74. Oh yeah, there are Bibles na iba yung number of books that are inside. In any case, yes, the explanation was that you're not supposed to look at it as one solid book. It's a collection of books, and these books have different genres. So some of it is like poetry. There's just narratives in there, I suppose.
Moral teachings, mga ganun.
But see, the moral teaching is not the classification that I heard. It was really more like a what is the genre of that book? Is how will it will now determine how you understand the book.
Okay.
But in the Shincheonji Bible class, we learned that actually you can classify the contents into 4 different things, which would be
history.
Review!
Biglang nanginig eh. Yes po, instructors. History, moral teachings or instructions, prophecy. Ito yung mind-blowing part for me. Fulfillment.
Right.
Yeah.
So we learned that it's not so much genre, it's about which kind of content is it. Regardless of what book you're looking at, we can now classify it as those 4 things. And yeah, prophecy and fulfillment are not things that I really gave much importance to at all. I think history and moral teaching, when you look in the Bible, like obviously history being past events, these are like thousands of years ago, events that happened thousands of years ago, fine.
Which we do not ever disregard, diba? The history that happened in the Bible.
Yeah.
Pero yung prophecy and fulfillment, dun ako medyo,
And I think that is also one of the points that were used to prove to us that, again, these are the words of God. And this is how also we can be sure that God is alive, because words that were given, recorded hundreds or thousands of years ago, they actually become fulfilled, after that length of time in an era where these people who recorded the Bible are no longer living. So that's one of the points that we learn in this lesson. And the next point would be that the Bible really is a book that records a history of war between God and Satan.
Which to me takes me back to that time where we studied religion. Kasi nga, di ba dahil sa religion, ang daming nag-aaway-away. So ito parang kind of makes sense. Bible is a history of war. Diba? Yung pala, between God and
Satan.
Akala ko, kung generations na, alam mo yun? Generations.
Oh, like meaning among people.
Yeah.
Which we also learned in class, though, is an effect of the spirits that are at war. Spiritual warfare is a term that you hear a lot in the religious world. But with a point like this in the lesson, I think it was just made a lot clearer that number one, spirits use flesh. So if there are two kinds of spirits, there's God and there's Satan, and then there's people that now belong to them, and they're at war, then of course the people are going to be warring against each other as well. So it was just made a lot clearer, I think, through a lesson like this. And the Bible records that. Yeah. So the next point would be, ayan, the importance of prophecy and fulfillment, which we discussed earlier. I think for this one, what really blew my mind was how at the time of first coming, like what did the people believe exactly? When they said that they believe Jesus, or when we profess today that we believe Jesus, what does that mean? Because I thought it was like, oh, like, yeah, it means that I believe that Jesus actually came 2,000 years ago. I believe that Jesus is divine. I believe that, Jesus was a good person. Yung mga ganyan na hindi ko alam, medyo vague siya sa akin. But I knew that that was the way to salvation, was professing this faith in Jesus, right? But I think what I learned through a point like this was that actually what people had to profess at that time was that Jesus was the fulfillment of the prophecies about a Messiah.
Tapos, di tayo naniwala.
Diba? So parang, again, became very clear, like, what is this faith that was professed at that time and that we are still professing today?
So it's a different time now because nga, nasa second coming na tayo.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that we're now canceling out all of the fulfillment that God has shown us in
Recorded
the past.
na yun eh. Recorded na ngayon sa Bible eh.
Yeah.
But what we're saying now is, ibang panahon na ngayon.
Which is why it's really important, like, what time are we living in? Do you even know? I remember there was a story in the New Testament about Jesus rebuking, I think it was the Pharisees, like, because they did not realize the time that they were living in. So yeah, it's really important that we know, what time are we in now?
So we can act accordingly.
Act
accordingly.
And then the next point would be the 7 biblical eras.
Ito, nahirapan akong kabisdo dito.
Medyo. But I think the main point is that hindi siya yung parang hinalo-halo lang na stories na wala namang kinalaman sa isa't isa. There is actually an order and there is a different era na talagang pinagdaanan ng mga tao. There is an order to things, which is not surprising because God is a God of order. And then the next one was the sequence of fulfilling the prophecy, because again, there is an order on how God's work pans out, plays out. And then number 8, why God gave us the Bible to begin with. I think because if we take it back to a past episode where we talked about the purpose of religion, it being the thing that connects us now back to God because we have been disconnected, you have to also now wonder, okay, then would the Bible have been necessary if we were still connected to God the way that God intended to begin with? Why do we have to encounter God through a book?
That's a good question.
And it's a question that you might want to marinate on as well. Of course, all the answers are readily available in the Shincheonji Bible classes, which you can check out on the English Shincheonji YouTube channel, or feel free to sign up for a class. We'd be so thrilled to have you. Head on over to BiblePrayerConnection.com or call these numbers in your area if you're in the Philippines, or you can even write to us, bestnewseverpodcast@gmail.com. All the links are in the show description as per usual. Make sure to join us again next time to hear how these aspects of the Bible relate to our personal experiences as well. We got stories in Good Samaritan fashion. Thanks for watching. Bye.